Hello and welcome to a new week of the Mike Leaf Show right here on the Warrior Sports Network. I'm Cory Prudoehl, joined as always by head men's basketball coach Mike Leaf. Coach, finally don't have to ask you the question this week because you got it done on the road, at least on Friday. A big win against Minnesota State, 68-66. I fell the next night to Concordia-St. Paul. But let's talk about that win over Minnesota State. Obviously one of your biggest rivals, if not the biggest rival. Always a fun game when you're playing in the Taylor Center, and this one was no different.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful arena, and oh man, it was one of those games where you knew it was going to be a war from start to finish, and it was going to come down to playing some tough D, and they've got such great shooters from the outside, and we really wanted to take that away, and obviously Mariah and the force inside, but just our defense was really, really good, and I think a big key to it was because if they missed a shot, we got the boards.
Yeah. You mentioned how good the defense was. You mentioned Mariah, but also Zach Monahan, one of the best guards in the conference, only had 7 points. I think he was 2 of 11 shooting. Is that just all-around defense that was good against him?
I think that, and to be honest with you, when we were warming up and you saw them, right in front of our bench, there's just and I think that comes about a little cockiness about your team when you've got a great record like they do, and. But I know he's someone who, MVP of last year, and, I think when we're running through our scout team and this and that, and he's got a target on his back because I don't think he comes across as he does a lot of jawing out there on the floor. So, I think our guys stepped up on that. And I think the other thing too is that he's the biggest key for them as far as scoring wise. And so in order to take away his dribble penetration, our bigs were helping off of screens, and so we took away that part of his game.
And then on our guard side, no Riley Bamenek really played 2 minutes.
Right.
Were you surprised and be impressed at how well you guys played without your your star?
Yeah, and I think that might have thrown them for a loop too, because every team we're playing, they've been having to face guard him, and with his injury and stuff like that, we just didn't have a choice. But other guys stepped it up, and it was just to win games, you got to have team efforts, you got to be confident, and that's a big key. But it was one win out of so many on the road that we've lost, and we wanted to carry that over, and unfortunately that didn't happen.
Yeah. Obviously the big guy who stepped it up there was the big guy, Kyle Bauman.
Yeah.
21 points in the game, that's a career high, but 19 of them in the second half when you guys really needed it most. And by the midway point, he was really propelling you to that win, and then obviously capped it off with that game-winning shot with just under 2 seconons left. So talk about how big he was.
Well, we actually run a set for him to get his, he's pretty automatic from a 10-12 foot, for his 10-12 foot shots. And he had been a little bit, last couple of weeks was a little iffy. He was battling his third strep throat, which is crazy. But, but he responded really, really well. And one of the things was Mariah stays in the paint. So if you get any dribble penetration, he's going to take that away or at least offset, a shot. And, so Kyle did come out there at that 10-12 foot, and he was knocking those things down. And it was amazing, it really was. We had toward the end of the game there, under a minute, and Monahan hits that big three at the top of the key. We were playing 3-point defense there, and I mean, he was a good couple steps outside, and he nailed it. And I was a little upset about that because we knew especially a couple of their guards can hit the long ones. But we came down and we were running our low play, and it really does isolate somebody. And Kyle made a great read off of it that Mariah was going to help if Isaiah made it to the hole. He pops high and got the ball, and what a great shot that he made in a clutch situation.
Yeah. And then right before Bauman made that shot, it seems like everyone knows Mankato's really had some clutch shooters, and they always seem to tie him up late, and that's exactly what they did. Is they hit that three to tie it.
Yeah.
So I guess, does that give your team such a confidence boost that they don't fold in that situation and they're able to stay calm and collected and then get that shot?
Yeah, absolutely, because it really is. For an instance, you're sitting there and you're watching the bench and stuff, and we've got this lead. What's the chances of it going in? We're playing, if they take it to the hole, it's a 2, we're not going to foul, and he buries it. So for an instant, it's like, wow, again. But at the same time, we still had plenty of time on the clock for us to come on down. But you're exactly right. It puts you in a situation. I tell the guys this all the time. Unfortunately, this year we haven't put ourselves in that situation.
Yeah.
But, put yourself in a situation where you have an opportunity to win the game. And boy, they did, and that was a great shot by Kyle.
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately, you said the next night you couldn't keep the momentum going as you fell 74-63 to Concordia-St. Paul. Just quickly, what went wrong in that game?
Well, to be honest with you, it's one of those things where it's a mental side of the game, and we've got some young bucks that don't realize that, and it's one of those things where every day you got to bring your A game, and it was somewhat lackadaisical, and I think the biggest thing was in a few times in the first half, but a lot in the second half in our man-to-man D, they were breaking us down with backdoor cuts because we weren't seeing the ball and seeing our man, and that's lazy. That's laziness. That's just there's no excuse for it, and we ended up having to go to a zone to try and offset that, and I don't like going to a zone too often. So we gave them some easy shots, and you look at statistically, we had we were out rebounded, but we had 15. We had 15 turnovers, and you can't. 15 is still somewhat of a low number, but if you can keep it 12 to 10 is great. But we like to keep it below 10, and to give up 15, that's terrible. And one other point I'd like to make too is that we give up points out of bounds plays. Slips to the baskets where we should not be giving that. Yep. So it was just a mental breakdown. And what can you do? Biggest part about it is that you beat a kingpin, then you lose the next night. We now hopefully learn that tournament time this coming weekend, you gotta have some things happen in a row, and on any given night anything can happen. So you gotta play like it's a tournament.
Yep. Final 2 home games of the season here as the regular season draws to a close this weekend. Wayne State and Augustana coming into town. We'll talk about those matchups later this week.
Tough ones.
Yep, right here on the Mike Leaf Show on the Warrior Sports Network.